Alrighty, so today I'll be talking about pancreatic cancer and early diagnosis. Sadly, it's a very lethal type of cancer because 85% of cases are diagnosed late when the patient only has a 2% chance of surviving. Pancreatic cancer is a very non-symptomatic disease. The main symptom would be abdominal pain, but then again, who doesn't get abdominal pain, you know? Anyway, there's a 15-year-old named Jack Andreka who actually entered a science fair and then later on ended up winning that science fair, and then followed by him becoming famous for his method of detecting pancreatic cancer early. So let's just pause for a second so I can further explain this by talking about a molecule called antibodies. So antibodies are Y-shaped molecules that bind to particular proteins called antigens in the bloodstream. Each type of antibody binds to one kind of antigen molecule. They are very particular. Now I'm going to talk to you about these cool things called carbon nanotubes, or you could call them the superhero of material science. Carbon nanotubes are essentially a thin pipe of carbon shaped as cylinders, and they are about 1/50,000th the diameter of a single human hair. They form electrons in them that are free to move around so that they can conduct electricity in the microscopic networks that they form. Now, I don't know if you remember me talking about antibodies, but if you don't, you weren't listening. But the key is that each type of antibody binds with one kind of protein. Mesothelin is an ordinary protein unless you have pancreatic cancer, where it is found at extremely high levels in the bloodstream, and more importantly at earlier stages of the disease. And if diagnosed this early, the patient will have close to a 100% chance of survival rate. Our current technique of diagnosing pancreatic cancer can be very tiring and long, and it's over 60 years old and costs over $800. So going back to this fun character, one day in biology class he was bored to tears because he just happens to be one of those super smart people. He's reading an article on carbon nanotubes, and at the exact same time his biology teacher was talking about antibodies and how they latch on to specific proteins. Then he remembered the protein mesothelin and how it has high levels in pancreatic tumors, and then all of a sudden he thought that the antibodies in the bloodstream could act as a biomarker, and that he could detect the mesothelin by lacing mesothelin antibodies to carbon nanotubes so that they would react to the mesothelin levels in the tumor. Sort of like a lock and a key. So the idea was given to make a cancer sensor out of bits of paper. This would require just one drop of blood to put on the piece of paper. The reaction of the mesothelin, the antibodies, and the carbon nanotubes can simply be measured with just a $50 ohmometer that you can get from the Home Depot. This test idea would approximately take up to only 5 minutes, and the sensor would cost only 3 cents, which is 26,000 times less expensive than the current one. And the accuracy of the test would be close to 100%. Wait, there's more. The test will be 400 times more sensitive and 168 times faster. So hopefully within 10 years, this theory will be certified for use to the public and increase the survival rates of patients that develop pancreatic cancer.